Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to the team at H.R.Owen Lamborghini London, I'm bringing you an in-depth tour of a 2017 Aventador S, presented here in Bianco Easy. The S is the second generation of Aventador, and brings with it significant advances and refinements over its predecessor. Four-wheel steering, more power and configurable driving modes are just to mention a few. With these new systems, and the old being controlled by an equally uprated central brain called Lamborghini Dinamica Veicolo Attiva, or LDVA for short. The S maintains the same dry weight of 1575 kilos, but is 17mm longer than the first Aventador. It is built around a carbon monocoque, and is powered by an uprated version of the 6.5-litre naturally aspirated V12 found in the previous model, but it now produces 740 brake horsepower, up from 690 brake horsepower. Torque, however, remains unchanged at 509 foot-pounds. These new performance figures don't result in huge benefits in outright performance, with the 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 2.9 seconds, and a top speed of 217 mph. But the S has been designed to deliver a more responsive and precise experience than the first Aventador. The exhaust has changed from inline quad pipes to three wrapped in a hexagonal surround, a more consistent extension of Lamborghini's overarching design language than the previous design. The S sits on 20-inch front and 21-inch rear forged Argento aluminium alloy wheels, with carbon ceramic discs in the front and back as standard. One of the biggest additions is the rear wheel steer system. The car retains its four-wheel drive setup, but now the rear wheels can turn with the front wheels at higher speeds, to a max of 1.5 degrees, and against the front wheels at lower speeds, a maximum of 3 degrees. The speed needed to transition from against to with, and back again, is between 78 and 84 mph. Now we've finished our specification overview, let's start the exterior look from front to back. There are several exterior upgrades that have taken place. First, the front bumper and splitter, which with its new planes provides a 130% improvement in frontal downforce. Parking sensors are integrated at the top. Above are the bi-xenon headlights with angular LED day running lights. The bonnet remains unchanged, with the small black vents on either side at the top. As we move to the side of the car, we find the wing mirrors curled up. These also remain unchanged from the first model. The S showcases new black side skirts that took inspiration from the Aventador SV. Moving further along the side of the car, we find the door handles, which are still integrated into the doors. And below, there's the new Aventador S insignia. Above this, on the right-hand side, is the fuel petrol cap that continues the hexagonal design language. Behind, there are new air vents to the side of the engine bay that are said to reduce turbulence to create more efficient airflow, and at the same time, provide increased cooling to the car's beating heart. Covering the engine bay is the iconic bay cover here in glass. Carbon fibre slats are also available. Now we're at the rear, there are some important changes to highlight. The lights and hot air vents below remain unchanged. However, the diffuser has been redesigned and now sports more fins. This, with the rear wing, leads to up to 50% more downforce at the rear. And of course we find the previously mentioned exhaust. After completing the exterior in-depth tour, let's move inside. The key also remains unchanged, with the bull on the bottom and buttons for lock and unlock. In its flagship model, of course the scissor door mechanism remains. It's easy to pull up and push down. The interior space is now more configurable than ever, with the ability to add carbon skin to your specification. It does feel more refined and purposeful than before. Alcantara and leather options can be specified, but here, black and dark tan leather have been chosen, with quilted seats. I was quite pushed for time, so unfortunately I wasn't able to do a POV interior tour, or look at the doors, so let's jump straight into the interior in-depth tour. The sill is unsurprisingly very low, but not actually that wide, so I found egress and ingress to be quite straightforward. It is now possible to spec carbon in more places than ever before. This included the sill area with its illuminated Aventador lettering. Just in from this is the door release catch. As we move into the car, the first thing we find is the exterior lighting array with the first air vent above. The steering wheel is the same as before, with mode button and scroll wheel on the left, and controls for volume and torque on the right. The digital TFT display has been updated with a new aesthetic and user interface. From left to right we have time, date and temperature, followed by oil level and temperature, with the main speedo and rev counter centrally. To the right is the water temp and fuel level, with an additional display further right. This screen changes depending on which mode you have it in, becoming more dramatic as you move from Strada to Corsa. The main screen also displays the reversing camera image when selected. Moving to the central column, we first find two air vents with the TFT screen below, with various button arrays as we move down. The touchscreen shows 4 direct access menus to the sides: memory, waveband, tuning and sound. These change depending on the menu screen selected. It can also be controlled using the scroll wheel below and direct select buttons. Now to focus on another big change here in the Aventador S. Previous modern Lamborghinis have had 3 driving modes, Strada, Sport and Corsa, that progressively ramp up the car's dynamics. But these were always preset, so it wasn't possible for the driver to configure their own mode. Now, however, there's Ego mode. Ego mode now lets the driver configure powertrain, suspension and steering around the 3 previous driving modes. So powertrain could be set to its most extreme Corsa, but suspension could be in its most relaxed Strada. Below the screen is a button array with controls left to right, passenger window, front axle lift, ESC off, hazard lights, parking sensors, stop start and driver window. Below this is another array for ventilation, climate controls and the heated seats. Under these is a selector to change between the driving modes and access the all-new Ego mode. The volume scroll wheel is to the right, with the iconic Jetfighter-esque ignition button centrally, and direct access buttons for nav, info, car, setup on the left, main screen navigation controls centrally and radio, media, name, telephone to the right. Finally, we have buttons for reverse, manual, park, and to lift or return the rear wing. At the rear of the central column, there is very limited storage in a small compartment with a 12-volt socket. Above, there is still a very impressive view of the engine bay, with some visibility thanks to the glass slats. The seats, here in dark tan, feel more refined than those in the first version. I also really like the quilted design. They are surprisingly comfortable for a car with such limited cabin space. On the passenger side, there is a small illuminated glove compartment. In terms of the boot space, it retains 150 litres found in the previous car. So that concludes my in-depth tour of the new Aventador S. As previously mentioned, this revised model is designed to take the impressive performance of the Aventador and make it more accessible and dynamic. Thanks again to H.R.Owen Lamborghini London for the opportunity. Please find all their details in the description of the video. Please subscribe for the latest content, and until next time, cheers.